It's Jordan here, XYZ with Erik Zachary. We've got Marc Scibilia in the studio with us today. Thank you for coming through, man.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling great.
Nice.
So don't you dare tell me that there ain't more to this. There's more to this.
So the world tour, you're on it.
Yes.
How is it? How's it going so far?
It's great. This is show, I think we got about 6 shows in a row. We're in Chicago tonight, and so I'm a little smoky.
Yeah.
But it's going to be great. You know, I get on stage and the people, they give me their energy and I give it back to them.
Nice. Is there a certain feeling you get from creating these songs in the studio to now being able to put these songs together like you do, but with the crowd?
Yeah, there's a lot more danger in front of people. I like that things can go really wrong, and our fall tour, you know, it was really, you know, it was the first time I was doing this kind of thing that I do in the studio where I live loop and I was on stage by myself, and so there were moments when, you know, things could totally fall apart. But this tour is really, it's really coming together. It's really, it's the best show I've ever done.
Nice. Give me the good, bad. I don't want to say ugly, but like odd or interesting. What have you learned so far this time around? I
would say the good is I love being on the road with the people that I really like. It becomes like a family, and so it's nice when you really pick that in the right way, because you realize, you know, I got a wife and 3 kids, and so it's not easy to leave them, but there's people that I love on the road now, and so it makes it a little easier when you're like in the middle of who knows where. I won't name any cities, but like just a place you've never been, and it's
right.
Totally foreign, and you're like, where am I? But you're like, actually, I'm with a crew. Yeah,
built that community.
The bad, I don't know, probably just like, you know, trying to find a place to pee at like, you know, 3 a.m. or something.
Fair enough.
The bus broke down, so
no.
You know, that's bad. But all in all, it's pretty great.
You got to take the good with the bad.
I think your body gets
this.
tired. You know, I love playing tennis and working out, and it's hard to develop a routine on the road.
Sure.
Because you're just tired, but we do a decent job. But yeah, the crew it's really great. And then meeting people that have, you know, connected with the songs, and kind of always reminds you what you're doing. So being in the studio is one thing, and I love that process, because that's, to me, in my opinion, is actually, that's where the art is created. That's where it's really actually art, and everything beyond that is kind of a convoluted version of it. It's like it's art, but it's like, yeah, you're trying to get from this location to this location.
Right.
There's a lot of logistics, but being in front of people, that connection is kind of priceless.
All in all, it sounds like a full circle moment.
Yes.
So if you could walk me through last year, like leading up to this, because 2024 was huge for you, with More to This, the single at the beginning of the year.
I've been thinking about dying and how that's gonna be.
Obviously, your social media presence is incredible. And then the More to This album at the end of the year. What was it like for you being through all that momentum to get you to this tour now?
Well, I think for me, you know, I had for about a decade, I had publishing deals, and I worked with amazing people, but I was really inside the music industry. And so I was trying to do things the way that you're supposed to do them in the music industry. You know, you're trying to find a hit. You're kind of playing by a certain set of rules, which are great. I mean, I deeply respect the system. But when my publishing deal ended, I kind of said, you know what, I can't keep playing the same game and expect different results.
Right.
And so I also said, like, I don't think this box really fits the speed and the scope of the creativity that I want to have. And so I basically was like, I'm going to give myself 6 months. I'm going to just make videos. I'm going to show people my process. I'm not going to think too much about this. And we'll just see what happens in 6 months. But I'm not going to judge the process before 6 months. So I set a note on my phone and on my calendar, and, you know, made videos every day. It's all I did. I made songs. If I was making a song, I'd make a video of it. And I had friends call me up and say, like, hey, you know, what you're doing is like a little, like, we don't love it. It's not, you know, you're kind of breaking the mold.
Really?
Yeah, good friends, like people that were just looking out for me.
Sure, okay.
Not throwing shade, like just looking out for my best interest. And I was like, you know what, I don't care. I've got 6 months. And so I kept doing that, and literally 6 months of the day, I called my manager and I said, hey, look, I don't think any of this stuff's working. We should probably like pivot. We can't really afford to like keep doing this. I got to go back to, whatever, making songs and films and television and stuff like that, the things I was doing. And I was like, my following has been, and I was like, I've had 20,000 followers for the last 6 months. And I went to look, 'cause I hadn't looked at it in a couple of weeks, and I was like, wait, why do I have 25,000 followers? That's weird. And then I clicked on the followers, and it was literally like every minute there was 100 new followers.
Wow.
I was like, what is happening? On the actual day I was going to call it, pull the plug.
Yeah.
And so from there, I really just felt like that was my sign to just like keep investing in what I do and what I love to do, which is make things, put them out in front of people, and not really overthink it too much. And so I did that for about a year or 6 or 7 months. And then I had this moment where my daughter, she was 5 years old, she was asking me about death. Every day before I'd put her to bed, I'd tuck her in, and she would ask me about my dad and my grandfather and people that we talked about that were no longer living. And it really kind of weighed heavy on me over the course of a couple weeks. And one morning, as I was going to the studio, just going to do that thing that I was doing every day, just making videos, putting songs out, whatever, I was just stopped in my tracks. It was like too much. I couldn't do the normal things. I sat down and I picked up a guitar and I wrote this song in like 10 minutes and I posted it, because that was part of my process. Whatever. I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't really think too much about it, except it was very emotional for me. And I posted it, and 24 hours later, it had like 1 million plays, and it had thousands of messages from all over the world, and people that had just resonated with it.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy experience. And even when we just did a European tour, and hearing people sing it in their languages and their accents and just their connection to the song, I don't know, it's pretty special.
I'm only halfway there. I'm only halfway home. Already been to the places that I thought I'd never go.
You did this interview in 2020 where you said when you listened to your Seed of Joy album, you could hear that you're getting good at the stuff that you're best at. Now that we're 5 years out, you just put out More to This, you're on this world tour. How do you feel? Are you closer to being the best at what you do? Does it feel different entirely?
It's a great question. Honestly, I think it's all, at this point, I don't really look back at all.
Okay.
I don't look back. I don't listen. I have no real idea. I know that more people are coming to shows, but that's about it. I have no clue. I actually have no clue. I know I'm having more fun than I've had, and that's about all I know.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's important. So you're doing these covers, and I have to applaud you, because the way you just put things together, and I know you said you were just creating and posting, you make it look pretty seamless. I want to know, when you put together a cover, what is that process? You'll do something like Bruno Mars in the style of Linkin Park. Right. It was one of my favorites.
You make me feel like I've been locked out of heaven.
How do those two things meet? Like, what is the inspiration in bringing some artist and some style together?
I think that being able to do that, I really consider as part of my disease of having pretty severe ADHD. And so, like, if I'm in a grocery store, I'll hear something playing, and usually all you can hear is the melody. Right. You can hear the vocal and the drums, and a lot of times I hear it, and it's like my producer brain is like, even when I write a song, I'm like, oh, I could do it this way, this way, this way, or this way. So when I just hear the vocal or the drums in a song, I'm like, oh, you could have done it this way, this way, this way, or this way. And so that's kind of how that originated. My favorite type of songs to do are songs that I think, in my very, very humble opinion, were produced with a specific time period. My favorite kind of songs to do are songs that are really encapsulated in a time period. Okay. So, for instance, the advent or the really peak of auto tune would have been when Cher did her song in 1998, Believe. Right. They cranked that tuner, and it obviously auto tuner had been used for a long time before that, but the way they did it was such a stylistic choice. And I remember thinking as a kid, I'm like, I didn't really vibe with it so much. And as I've gotten older, I realized that's one of the greatest songs. That's one of the greatest choruses ever written. Yeah. And so for me, I love taking songs that are were written and they were huge in a moment in time, but maybe maybe in time, you know, people have chosen different production styles and
Sure.
they're kind of encapsulated in that moment. I love bringing them into like a current moment. And yeah, that's what I love doing. So what's funny is, like, you know, I've tried to cover like a John Mayer song before, but I actually can't do it because his music is like, it's recorded so timeless, and it's really difficult to like make it any
Pinpoint any.
Yeah, it's really it's amazing. But there's a lot of artists like that where it's just actually hard to do.
Do you believe in life after love? I can feel something inside me say, I really don't think it's strong enough, no.
Now, there was one other one that I saw. You did Gnarls Barkley's Crazy to the theme song of Severance.
Yeah.
Make me crazy. Does that make me crazy?
That idea was actually belonged almost entirely to my assistant. He's a big Severance fan.
Okay.
And he was like, "What if you tried this?" And I haven't seen the show actually.
Oh, wow.
It is on the plans for the tour because I've got a lot of time on
Sure.
the bus. But he was like, it has this piano theme, and then we were kind of talking about like, and then we had been. I think "Crazy" is one of the best songs ever,
Easily.
and so I've been trying to put it into something. And that just for some reason popped into my head. But
It
yeah,
just
that idea was not my idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Cool.
that particular
Well,
one.
you got to check out Severance. We're big Severance
I've
guys
heard it's
here.
amazing.
Theories, all of it. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but when you get that time, please do check it out. But speaking of, you know, just you making all this music and you're showing us the process, making it look seamless, is there like one instrument or one part of the recording that is not necessarily hard, but like tedious for you? Like, you know, if this needs jazz flute, like let me go bust out a flute.
Yeah, I think I play drums in some of the videos.
Okay. Yeah.
Drums are probably the thing I'm least good at.
Okay.
So those can take a little longer for me. Like sometimes with these loop videos, it'll take me 20, 30 takes to get it right. And usually it's because the drums are not quite locking in right.
Sure.
Yeah.
You've done this pretty much your whole life.
Yeah.
You said in one of your videos that the note you get the most from fans is keep going. Outside of keep going, is there advice you could give to somebody who's going down the similar Marc Scibilia path?
That's a good question. I would say the thing that makes you be able to keep going is that you have to love creating things. You can't really love the result of the process. You have to love the process because the result is completely out of your control. It's always been out of my control, and I've rarely yielded the result that I wanted, but I've always loved the process.
That's huge. And I feel like that rings true just because you were saying earlier, you know, you didn't know what was going to come of just the posting for 6 months. Let's give it the 6 months. And you being like, hey, I'm happier than I've ever been. That's all I can tell you. I think that is the end goal, or
I was
loving the process.
I put myself, those 6 months, I really put myself in a repeatable pattern because I loved it, you know. And I think if you love something, if it's natural to you, it's easy to repeat.
Right.
And I think that's the world we live in now. It's, you know, it is a volume game. So you have to be locked into something that you actually love, or else you'd just burn out.
That's huge, real deep. Thank you for that. My final thing, and this is probably more for me than it is anybody else, but you're from Buffalo, New York, correct? Yeah. I'm from Syracuse, New York.
No way.
Yes.
I love it.
If I could ask one final question, it's what is something that you could share with the world about upstate New York that they probably don't know, big or small?
I'll tell you, this is easy. There is sunshine in the summer. Summers are like Hawaii in the Northeast.
Yes.
People don't realize a Buffalo summer is one of the most beautiful things you can see. I mean, that's that. I don't know. I don't know how every time someone goes to Buffalo, it's snowing.
Right.
The summers are incredible.
Yeah. That's a preconceived notion. I was actually just in Syracuse last week, and I was like, we're losing daylight at like 3:30, 4 p.m. Yeah. But no, you're right.
And the Great Lakes feel like an ocean. Those are probably the two things.
Yes. Yeah. We're in Chicago. Have you seen Lake Michigan?
I love Lake Michigan, and we were in Milwaukee yesterday, and I didn't totally realize how close we were to the lake, and I started running, and I was like, this is like it was so much like Buffalo to me. And my
Oh yeah, it's a pleasant surprise.
yeah.
Nice. Well, Marc, thank you for coming through, man.
Thanks for having me.
Much success to you and everything that you're doing. I love seeing the videos. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.